If you're planning a trip to Buenos Aires, you're in for a treat. This city is alive with passion, culture, and a steady rhythm that feels uniquely its own. But with so many sights to pack in, where do you even begin? First, you've got La Boca. Yeah, I know, it's the most touristy neighborhood in Buenos Aires. But listen, there's a reason for that. Caminito Street is a kaleidoscope of vibrant colors, tango dancers performing on corners, and artists selling their work. It's kitschy, sure, but it's like stepping into a painting. One tip, don't wander too far from the main streets. It gets sketchy fast. Then there's San Telmo, which feels like stepping into old-world Argentina. On Sundays, the San Telmo Fair fills the cobblestone streets with antique vendors, live music, and endless empanada stands. Grab an alfajor while you're there. Trust me, the sugar crash is worth it. If you're into photography, the architecture alone will make your trip. Recoleta Cemetery deserves its own paragraph. This place is unreal. Essentially a city for the dead, it's packed with ornate mausoleums and statues. Wander around, and you'll find Eva Perón's resting place. It's equal parts beautiful and eerie, like something out of a history book brought to life. Now, let me tell you about Palermo. It's trendy, bohemian, and has an energy that feels like Brooklyn decided to vacation in South America. Think street art on every corner, boutique shops, and more craft coffee than you can drink in a week. Don't skip the Japanese garden, surreal tranquility right in the middle of the city. El Ateneo Grand Splendid is a bookstore, but not just any bookstore. It's an old theater turned into a literary wonderland, complete with a cafe where the stage used to be. Even if you don't care about books, the space will blow your mind. Grab a coffee there and just soak it all in. You can't skip Plaza de Mayo. It's Buenos Aires' historic and political heart. The Casa Rosada is here. Think Argentina's version of the White House, but pink and way cooler to photograph. If you're lucky, you might catch a protest or rally. People here are passionate, and it shows. Puerto Madero feels like a completely different city. Gleaming skyscrapers, fancy restaurants, and a pedestrian bridge that lights up at night. It's all so modern. Walk along the waterfront and grab a steak at one of the parias. You haven't really been to Buenos Aires if you haven't eaten steak. Football is like a religion in Buenos Aires, and a visit to La Bombonera is practically a pilgrimage. Whether there's a game or not, the Boca Juniors stadium is steeped in history. If you're a sports fan, you'll feel it in your bones. Pro tip, even the stadium tour can book out, so plan ahead. Tango might as well be the city's soundtrack. And there's no better place to experience it than at a milonga, a traditional tango gathering. Go to Salon Canning for the best mix of locals and visitors. Watching is fine, but dancing is living, so take lessons if you dare. If you like green spaces, head to the Bosques de Palermo. It's enormous and feels like the Central Park of Buenos Aires. Rent a bike, paddle a boat, or just stretch out on the grass. The rose garden is particularly stunning when it's in bloom, and it's all free. For a more sobering experience, visit the ESMA Memory Site Museum. It documents Argentina's dirty war and the thousands of people who disappeared during the dictatorship. It's heavy, but necessary, especially if you want to understand the city's resilience and complex history. End your trip with a sunset at the Costanera Sur Ecological Reserve. It's a vast, wild space right on the edge of the city, teeming with bird life and walking trails. As the sun dips below the horizon, it feels oddly peaceful for such a bustling place. Bring a corapan from a street vendor and just sit. Perfect.